All right. Happy Thursday. Good to see you guys. As I was saying, I am really excited about this new format for us to get together as another layer of support for you. And so I'll get into kind of like why that happened. But first and foremost, if you don't have your chat window open on the right hand side of your screen, I recommend doing that. If you don't know how to do it, simply hover your cursor somewhere over the Zoom window, click the chat button, and it should open up the window off to the side, because we are going to use the chat window sort of in the second piece of this call. I promised these calls will be 22 minutes. Anybody ever been on a Zoom that said they'd be done in 30 and it was like 55 and you're like, so this is one of my, Christine's like, yeah, all day long. So I'm going to be super committed to 22 minutes after the hour, even tonight, even though we're starting a few minutes late. I will stop this call. And then if we need additional time, we can. I will also always log in 10 minutes ahead of time. So if somebody just wants a little extra love or some time like this, I will always personally log in 10 minutes ahead of schedule. So those are a couple of things. Now, I've been working with all of you, every single one of you, which, by the way, look at this beautiful group of, hold on, everybody smile, because I'm doing a screenshot because the setup, the layout, and everything is perfect. So I'll give you a 3, 2, 1. Ready? 3, 2. Okay, now we're all set. And now I'm so distracted. Our check-in calls are often, what went really well this week? We always start there. What obstacles do you foresee coming up in the future? We work through it. And then if you happen to be in your life book, and we have all been in seasons when we're really into it, and we have all been in seasons when we're less into it. We're going to talk about that towards the end of this call. And so we're going to work on running this in that same similar kind of format. We're going to start with celebrations, and this call will be about you. I want everyone who signs in to have their voice heard, or their dog's voices heard in the case of my mom, or Kelly Jo's mom's voice heard, or whatever. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the second segment about obstacles. And I choose that word specifically. Last night on the Zoom, I called it challenges, and I really struggled with the choice of words. I think it's very important that we're mindful of words. And in the world of Optavia coaching, one of our leadership principles is the obstacle is the way. Seek growth and embrace the obstacle is the way. So obstacles are things that we can go up, over, and around, or through, or under, or whatever. So they are not, they're not meant to halt you. They're meant to make us stronger. So what we'll use the chat window for is, in your week or in the upcoming week that you foresee, is there an obstacle that you're concerned about? Or is there something going on in your life? And it could be, I'm experiencing severe anxiety about the pandemic. It could be, I'm not getting my fuelings in. It can go anywhere that you want it to go. And I want you to use the chat window to type that in. And if you don't want anyone else to see it, if you've not used the chat window, you can either send the message to everyone, or you could click the drop-down menu and select just me so I can see it. And so when we get to that moment in the call, I'll pick, if there's a theme, there's usually, if you're having a struggle with something, guaranteed someone else is. So don't be afraid to just throw them over there. And when we get to that point, I'll pull 1 or 2 or whichever ones we can get done. And then at the end of this call tonight, the last 5 minutes will be any sort of client announcements or things that are really relevant to you. And so tonight I will go over how we get to continue with our one-on-one calls as well, if you want to take advantage of that, because I want this to be an additional layer of support for you moving forward. Sound good? If you don't know, also there's a button down at the bottom for reactions, and so you can just give a thumbs up like that that's on my face right now. Isn't that cute? So let's go ahead and just open it up. Who had something really awesome? And it's funny, some of you might be like, well, it wasn't that awesome, but what is something, let's celebrate one another. What are some great things going on? Just bring yourself off mute and shout it out. Judy had one. I'll just call on Mom because we talked about it before. So go ahead and Mom will get it started.
For me, being retired, it is really difficult unless you have your day planned. The whole day can come and go, and it's so uneventful and whatnot. Today I'm up, dressed, and makeup on. That's very unusual for 9:30 in the morning. um, so getting started the right way makes me feel so much better. If I sleep in or don't get dressed or do anything till noon, then I'm behind on my fuelings, and then I beat myself up. And
And you have also already had one of your fuelings, right?
I have.
Anybody ever have a challenge? We're not into the obstacles yet, but where the day gets going and you're like, oh my gosh, it's noon and I haven't even put anything in my mouth.
Yep.
So to honor the fact, Judy Reston's like, nope, never had that problem. But so congratulations, Judy Hattrick. Great job. Who else has something that they want to share? I love that.
Mhm.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm excited for today because my daughter and I belong to, Jeffrey knows, a volunteer organization. And because of COVID, all the in-person volunteer opportunities are few and far between. So tonight we get to go and help feed some hungry. So I'm looking forward to that. Really looking forward to it. You do start feeling very confined after 5 months. So that's going to be fun.
So great. So great. And the fact that, how long will you be there?
It's 3 hours, I think 4 to 7 tonight.
Right. And now that you're empowered with a little Optavia bar in your pocket, you know that you also will take care of you somewhere in the mix and make it easy, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah, work my day because usually we eat dinner around here around 5:30. So I'll probably have a bar or something on the way there, and then figure out what I'm. After 7 o'clock is kind of late for dinner for us, so I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
Maybe
I'll figure it out.
maybe throw that one in the chat if that's going to be an obstacle and we can all help. But
Well, I think the obstacle is I have to, with kiddo, I'll have to go through some sort of fast food as soon as we're done, and I'm like, just make sure I don't order from from them too. So I'll work on it.
Everything. Who else has a celebration to knock out? There's got to be so many of them. Go ahead, Jane.
Yeah, I hi. A little speechless here, but just in terms of the program, the progress I've made, especially in the last, I'd say, year and a half. But I'm at my lowest level in in about 15, 20 years. And Jeffrey and Nicole and Judy were part of the start of this a while back, and then kind of resumed it about a year ago. And I've lost 39 pounds, which is, for me, I mean, I weigh every day, I have forever, and but it's kind of cool, and I'm very happy. So thank you all.
39 pounds gone. 160 pounds of pressure off of your joints. 4 pounds for every pound. 4 pounds of pressure for every pound lost. That's stellar. Congratulations, Jane.
I was going to comment earlier. I haven't seen Jane for a long time, but she looks fabulous.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Jane.
Yeah.
Does Amy or Christine? Christine looks like she's off mute. She might be. You want to share something?
I guess a small win. I wasn't completely perfect during camping, which, is fine, I guess, but I was remembering, instead of cheating, I was indulging, so I wasn't beating myself up about it. Now, again, it's not necessarily okay to go that far indulging, but I'm still new. But I didn't beat myself up about it, and I know I can start back again today, and everything's going to be fine, and a weekend of, not eating specifically isn't going to ruin my whole journey. Mm-hmm.
I love that. That mind shift that is really focused on in element 4 of the life book is powerful. And I love that you looked at the choice, the word choice. The word choice alone changes the ramifications on your, I cheated. Cheat's never a good word. Never is cheat used in a good sentence, right? But I chose to indulge. Chose, maybe, is the word. I made a choice to enjoy my family and camping, and I had some great fuelings, and here I am. And my journey continues, right? I love that. Thank you. Amy or Kelly Jo, I'm not forcing anyone to talk, but before we move on, do either of you have some celebrations that you'd love to share? I can say Amy's celebration is that her backdrop looks like she's on a TV set. It's like perfect, isn't it? Like well, then we also have Judy's Reston's that's like this perfect lodge back over there too. So y'all look really good. Y'all got some really good backdrops, so that's awesome. I am in my virtual apartment in Portland, Oregon. I think it might be Portland, but you know, I could be in Maui. I could be in wherever. Nobody will ever know where I am. So let's shift gears then. If anyone, and no one's put anything in the chat yet. So if you have any obstacles that have been getting in your way, or you are fearful that might get in your way, or if there's just something that's coming up for you, we can put it in the chat, or if you just want to come off mute, we can do that as well. Is there anything that's really not going well? I would love if there was, like, is this the only place on the planet where everything is going well? Maybe.
I have something.
Cool.
So not necessarily past, but forward.
Yeah.
The next week, I have a lot of work to do for work. And then on top of that, my kid is starting partial homeschool, partial regular school. And between working a lot of hours and stressing about getting everything together for school, normally that would give me the okay to not have good choices or not eat for a long time and then really pack it in when I'm done eating. So I'm curious as to what this week is going to look like, because it's really going to be my first challenge in the reality of what life used to look like and what it's going to look like now.
All right.
So
I'm handing that out to the panel first. The other beauty about this is I want you all to realize that just because I'm the quote unquote coach doesn't mean I am the expert as well. So that's the other reason I'm loving this. So let's throw it out. And who has an idea about that?
I do.
Go ahead, Judy.
For Christy, we're in week 2 of online high school that apparently they're not going to go back until at least fall break. And just know that the first couple of days are really hard to navigate. But the kids they're a lot more savvy with Zoom and computer and Wi-Fi and whatnot. But the first few days are just a little wonky. They just are. And then now it's gotten into a flow. I don't know what grade your son is in, but I've heard from others at first, there's uninvited people, showing up into the chat rooms and people acting up. And then in pretty short order, the instructors get everything reined in. And so just kind of know that it's going to be challenging for everybody for the first couple of days. Then it kind of, they get into a flow, which is good. I'm in one room, and in 2 rooms beyond me are 2 high schoolers that I can't even hear them. Everybody's just doing their thing. So it'll work out.
I think that's great advice. Can we, in addition to that, regarding the question of great, so there'll be some chaos in that. And it's great because Kelly Jo kind of mentioned a question over in the chat that relates to this, is given all of that stuff, everybody else's schedules, that is very, very, very important. How do we then navigate to make sure that we don't let 6 hours go by without fueling, or that we all of a sudden go, crap, I didn't have a plan for my lean and green? Who has navigated these times in the context of fueling your body and not getting off track and losing your own journey in that mix. That's kind of what you're saying too, Christine, right?
Well, Jeff,
Yeah.
I think because it's easy to let those every 2 to 3 hour fuelings fly by, you may have to set a timer. I don't know if you work out of the house or in the house. And probably pre-planning your lean and green, just because by the time you get to it, you might be too exhausted to fix something at that time.
That's terrific advice. I was going to suggest the same thing, even going as far as think through before you go to bed, think through the day and be like, okay, what time is he's going to be starting class online? That's going to probably be a disaster. Like even microwaving something, so what is the easiest thing? A bar. Not even the crunchers, because those take too long to eat. So you go, I need something that's fast at that moment, or I need something at this point. Y'all laugh because you're like, I know it takes like half hour to eat that bag. And what I've even done is with a Sharpie, write the time on the package of each thing before you go to bed. So you now have not only thought about it, pen to paper puts the cognitive with the subconscious. So now you've laid it out. And then by putting the timer on, now you have made it foolproof. And so those extra little steps the night before, even going as far with the lean and green, like everybody knows, like my omelets, for example, they are in the Tupperwares weighed out the night before. So I just have to throw it into the thing. I don't even have to weigh it anymore. So any obstacle or barrier that you can take back will help. And I think that goes with what Kelly Jo is talking about, just with all the work and all of the schedules, it really goes to you decide the night before whether the following day will be successful or not. I think that's powerful. And same with Amy. Isn't it interesting? I told you guys, when there's ever a theme, there is a theme with everyone. So when I used to have one-to-one calls for 3 hours, I'd be like, yep, same issue. Yep, same issue. Yep, same issue. So collectively, does that help everyone a little bit? That honoring the fact that, first of all, you're not alone. You're not dumb for not being able to figure it out, right? Look, Amy particularly, she's like, oh, hallelujah. That's what I needed today. The first breath of the day, she's been up for 6 hours because she's in Wisconsin. The first breath of the day. Sometimes just take a breath, plan the night before when the house is quiet, before the turmoil presents itself. And yes, an obstacle may pop up, but you already had a pretty solid plan, right? Cool. All right.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Sure.
This morning when I had my first fueling, now I've forgotten, but at 8:30, I told myself, okay, you have to have the next one by 11. So that pre-planning mindset to help me remember. Otherwise, it's like, when did I have that fueling and when am I supposed to have the next one? I already know when I should.
Absolutely. Great advice. Go ahead, Amy.
I like to use my phone, and I just, in my notes, I write down the time that I ate the fueling. So then, and it's usually around the same time every day, but when things like happen, I just change it out. Just every day, I just do it on my phone, and because I carry my phone everywhere, and that way, I know, like if I'm in the car, whatever, it's like, oh, 3 hours, okay, it's supposed to be at this time, because things get crazy and I forget, and then it's like, okay, it's on my phone, so I remember it that way.
It's a great solution. Like typically I eat at 6, 9, noon, 3, 6, and 9. But if I get up a little late and the first one's at 7, in a moment's notice, I can change all of them to be fixed throughout the day. So I love that. All right, well, we are gonna wrap up here. I swore I was going to log off at 22 minutes. I might need to reevaluate that because 22 goes very, very fast. And there's going to be more and more and more and more and more people on this call. So this is a work in progress. And like I said earlier, what I love about Optavia is it gives us all, and myself included as a coach, the opportunity to shift and learn and grow and figure out are we living our best lives? Am I serving you as well as I can? And so we'll be doing a little shifting as we move forward. But I think it's really important. You know, you've all gotten used to our one-on-one check-ins each week, and I want to make that still available to you. But I also want to hammer home, all of you have the magical life book. And if you don't, I can give you the link to the digital version of the first 3 chapters, but this is actually the program of Optavia. The fuelings are not the program. Everything in here for lifelong transformation is in the life book. And what I've realized through coaching is that, you know, when we meet one-on-one, I've got a lot of background in coaching and I have a lot of answers, but sometimes we digress from this. And Dr. A created what's scientifically proven created predictable transformation when you follow the system. And so it's kind of like a college class. You sign up for a college class and then you don't go to class, and then you wonder why at the end of the semester you didn't learn everything you were supposed to learn, right? So I want to bring us back to this. And some of you are really dialed into it, some are loosely, and there's no right and there's no wrong. But from now on, what I want our one-on-one calls to be about is specifically where you're at in the life book. You may notice, I'm sure you all know this, but I'm going to educate everyone right now. At the end of every chapter, it says, now that you've completed element whatever, write down your thoughts guided by the following 3 questions. What does this element mean to you right now? What does this element give you the opportunity to reflect on? And what actions are you going to take as a result of this element? And then it says, I encourage you to connect with your coach so you can share your thoughts and actions as soon as possible. And I'm sure all of you have all reached out to your coach at the end of every single element. Don't blink or anything. The reason I'm really dialing this home is because Optavia is a program that is supposed to be empowerment to you, right? And so it sounds like I probably made it sound like I was slapping everybody's hands, but what it is like these one-on-one calls will be driven by this, so that if you're in the middle of a chapter, if you're at the end of a chapter, if you need me 10 times a week, that's fine. But I don't have any more answers than you do. They're all in here, but together we can collaborate. So for the one-on-one appointments moving forward, wherever you're at in your life book, hopefully at the end of every element, you will send me a video message saying, Jeffrey, I'm done with element 4 and I'm ready to connect with you. I'm going to explain this. I want it recorded for everyone. I think everyone uses Messenger. I'm going to tell you the best practice and then the second best practice. If you're in Messenger and you've got your message thread there, all you do is open up the conversation and there is a little camera and look there, probably can't see. You press and hold it and it records a video and says, Jeffrey, I'm on element 4. I'm ready to connect. You send it through and I will call you within 24 hours. And if I can't, I will text you and tell you that we have to pick a different time. But there's no reason I shouldn't be able to get to you within 24 hours. People always think I'm so busy and I'm like, I'm at the pool. I can call you. So I'm living the dream. So that's how I want that to move forward. You let me know what element you're in, where we're going to go. I'll call you and we can hammer it out as much as you want. But I also want everyone to arrive at the table with the tools, meaning the life book, so that you get to experience that year-long curriculum that takes you really to lifelong transformation. That's my goal. So I'm super stoked about that. You can have me as much as you want, and that's how we'll do it. And if you don't have Messenger for some reason, you could send me a video on the phone as well. But I'm also wanting to make sure that I get to see your faces and that you will then get to see mine. That's also a selfish piece. I feel like in this world, we don't get to see faces as much. So I'm modeling that behavior so that we can move forward and work really well together. Before I turn off the computer or the recording, are there any questions about that?
What about Marco Polo?
I love you. If you don't know what Marco Polo is, everyone, it is an app that allows for longer videos. So I think that that is a perfectly good option for you, Christy. Yes. I will make it a priority to check, to make sure my notifications are on that app. It's always been my struggle is I have too many apps, but I can do that. Except if it is in Messenger, it's just going to be a really short. So if you need to send me a long Marco Polo message, that makes great sense. If it's just saying I'm ready for you, that little quickie on Messenger would be probably more than enough. Like you wouldn't be going more than 60 seconds. So great question though. And Judy Rustin's just going to show up at my door.
Can I say something?
Yes, Judy.
I just want to wish Amy good luck. I know when my kids left for school, it is the most stressful time. As much as you think you're up for it, I cried 4 hours on the way home.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's tough.
Yeah.
And as a great reminder with regard to that with Amy, and we all have different circumstances, don't forget, use the Healthy Happenings Facebook page. It's very robust. It's very active. I'd like to honor Kelly Jo for being the first person months and months and months ago who said, why is this page not very exciting? It was before all of you were around. And it's like she declared it and it went through the roof. Like, it's amazing now. So utilize that. Utilize us, right? Friend one another if you want to. And I am still always a text away. When there is a need, you can still call. My phone works. I'll take calls, right? But when we're doing coaching calls, I want them to be very driven and very specific so that we can get you the outcome that you want. But Amy, you're not alone. Everybody else who has stuff going on, like the whole world, we're not alone anymore. So I will stop the recording.